Truth Unveiled here, and today I have some very critical information to share with you, and I just want to get right to it. But today we're going to be focusing on London and what is planning to go on in London, because I don't know if you heard, but they are staging the largest emergency service exercise ever in London. More than 70 organizations are to take part in this, including the Disaster Victim Identification and many more. And it is, of course, co-funded by the European or the EU Commission. And I'm here at Evening Standard, and it says emergency services stage disaster to test their ability to rescue survivors. And it goes on to say, emergency services across London are making final preparations for Europe's biggest disaster drill. Did you hear that? Europe's biggest disaster drill. Oh, just like they did a drill for the so-called Boston bombings. Could this be another one of those? Could this be another false flag event? We're going to see soon enough, but it says Exercise Unified Response will simulate a tower block collapsing into Waterloo Underground Station packed with passengers, London Fire Brigade's Commissioner Ron Dobson said. The 4-day exercise, starting on February 29th and ending on March 3rd, aims to test the contingency planning of more than 70 organizations from mortuaries to the government's Cobra Committee. Cobra mentions a snake, Let's keep going. It will be staged at Littlebrook Power Station near Dartford Crossing and include 2,000 volunteers playing casualties amid upturned tube trains and thousands of tons of rubble. Wow, sounds like a false flag waiting to happen. Let's keep going. Mr. Dobson said the techniques being tested could also be used in a so-called terror incident, yeah, because they have to bring that up again, following the so-called Paris suicide bombings and gun attacks in November, which killed 130. London firefighters wearing bulletproof vests have been trained to work alongside police while gunmen are still at large. And they have a picture of what they'll be looking like here as well. And it says the 1 million euro or the 770,000 pound drill is funded by the EU, European Union, and will include specialists from Hungary, Italy, and Cyprus. Mr. Dobson said it would test if they could get to trap survivors faster than the July 7 terror attacks in 2005 and help so-called reduce their trauma. And of course they're relating this to the so-called Paris attacks, because we know that really happened, and I'm being sarcastic. But anyway, it goes on to talk about the tube tunnels and how they will plan on rescuing people, and one of the things that they're trying to do in order to combat terror and combat terrorist attacks, because that's what they want us to believe, and that's why they're doing this. But it's just interesting to see how all of the mental psyop going on. The question is why? Why all this preparation? Why all this emergency preparation? And like I said, it even says it's preparing for Europe's biggest disaster drill. Why all the preparation, and why now? Now here I am at the actual website. It's London Fire Brigade, and this is the actual website that's doing this and staging this. And it goes on to say the Exercise Unified Response, the biggest multi-agency training exercise in our history. And it says, on behalf of the London's Resilience Partnership, we are hosting Exercise Unified Response. And what is it? The biggest multi-agency training exercise in our history. That's interesting, because a couple of weeks ago, I reported on what? The biggest military drill in the Middle East, with Saudi Arabia gathering how many hundreds of thousands of military men, how many thousands of warplanes and tanks and everything. And you can watch my report there too. I'm going to leave a link for it below. But why all the war games? Why all the preparation? Are they getting ready for something? I'm going to keep going. It says, Exercise Unified Response is a large-scale and complex live and command post exercise which will be held between February 29, 2016 and March the 3rd, 2016. The exercise will be conducted simultaneously at 4 separate venues in central and southeast London, as well as at a disused power station located near the Dartford River crossing. And it says the scenario will be based on a significant building collapse incorporating heavy transport and mass casualties. Interesting, just like the scenario with the so-called Boston bombings. And it says who will take part. It says the emergency response organizations will include local and national authorities, as well as specialized teams from across the UK, Hungary, Italy, and Cyprus. And it says the Emergency Response Coordination Center will also take part in the exercises designed to validate protocols and coordination arrangements at the responder tactical and strategic level. Now I want to take you to one more place too, which is the actual scenario. So this goes over the scenario. It says the exercise has four overarching elements that will test a range of resources. The UK will identify if its resources would benefit from support and will request assistance via the Common Emergency Communication and Information Systems, or CECIS. The request for assistance to the Emergency Response Coordination Center, or the ERCC, will be established through the UK's official channels, Cabinet Office, Civil Contingencies Secretariat, and coordinated through the ERCC and the official channels of the member states. The mechanism will be activated along with an EU civil protection team. The exercise will be a complex scenario that will present a range of challenges to frontline responders from all participating agencies and specialist teams, such as those that undertake urban research and rescue, fire service, hazardous area response teams or ambulance services, and disaster victim identification, police services. I also did a report just a couple of days ago on the 24th, which talked about who? FEMA and the emergency alert system. And they just did the test here in America, and now they're about to do an exercise, one of the biggest ones in London. And mind you, this is only 2 weeks after the big military drill in Saudi Arabia, which, by the way, is scheduled to end on March 3rd, just like this test. Is all of that a coincidence? It's not looking like it, folks. And if you really think that all this is, just a coincidence, there's nothing to it there, I suggest you really start to think again, because they're literally telling us what they're about to do. And I'm about to show you even something more disturbing after this. But it goes on to say, in addition to the live exercise, the scenario will require activation of London's strategic coordination arrangements, various emergency plans, and central government involvement to consider wider consequence management and provide coordination of a large number of multi-agency emergency responders. A dedicated evaluation team will develop a methodology that links the objectives and expected results to the actual outcomes of the exercise conduct. Furthermore, they will design the scope, methodology, and data capture for the evaluation of all elements of the exercise and produce a final report to present the learning in any areas for improvement that are identified following the conclusion of the exercise. Will they be doing more? Could this be leading to something? I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. But if you thought those things were coincidental, wait until you see this. Now, it's no surprise, nor is it a coincidence, that this same test and the same emergency test, which is supposed to be the biggest in European history, is also occurring at the same time that this movie is supposed to be released on March 4th, the day after this test, which just so happens to be called London Has Fallen. And I'm going to leave the links for the trailers below, but if you look at the links and just look at the trailer itself, it's not that long, but it talks about a presidential race in the trailer. Just like the 2016 presidential race. Interesting. No surprise there. It also features a black president who just so happens to look just like Obama. No surprise there. And then it says that these world leaders are gathering in London to meet for a world gathering or something. And it says in the trailer, security at unprecedented levels are to be there. Security at unprecedented levels. Sounds like a police state. Sounds like martial law to me. I remember Paris and the so-called Paris attacks in the UN. That sounds real familiar. And it also says gathering of the world's most powerful leaders. And then what happens in the trailer is there's an attack on London. And then after this attack, they're trying to find the so-called terrorist who did it, because that's what they want us to believe. And then there was this line made that is very, very, very interesting. It said, imagine every city descending into chaos. And then the trailer went to pan on different worldwide cities, including Washington, D.C., New York, Times Square, and even Paris itself. And it said from every day from now on, there will be expect certain terror attacks and playing on the war of terror. And like I said, imagine every city descending into chaos, order out of chaos, or do up chaos. That is what they are doing. And like I said, this is reminiscent of what the Boston so-called bombings, when they alerted everyone ahead of time that there would be so-called testing going on. And now we see that there's testing going on in London, and it just so happens to be a couple of days, in fact, the day before when this so-called movie comes out. What is really going on? Is there an agenda? Do you really think that's a coincidence? Because no, they're literally telling you right in your face what they are about to do, what they are about to plan. I highly, 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 highly recommend you watch the trailers below that I link just so you can see the predictive programming for yourself. Because if you don't think that this is going to be happening worldwide, I suggest you think again. It's no surprise that the City of London will be conducting this exercise and this test going on just around the same time as Saudi Arabia launches their military exercise with 20 other nations, and they launched it around February 14th. And of course, it's dubbed the what? The largest in the region's history. Wow, just like this will be the same test, the largest in the London's history. Interesting. Are you starting to see the parallels? Are you starting to see how all of this is not a coincidence? Are you starting to see what's really going on? Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what to expect, but I just want to leave this information for you so that you can see just what time it is and so you can see what's going on worldwide. Because many people still think that, oh, nothing's going to happen, oh, we're okay, when they are literally telling us every single day what they are doing and planning on doing. Not only that, but the Queen already has told us, along with the Pope, that this will be our final Christmas. This past full moon Christmas was our final Christmas. And I've gone over many details detailing why this past Christmas was so symbolic to the elite. But will you be heeding the warning? Because like I said, both of these military drills and exercises, the one in London and the one in Saudi Arabia, both are scheduled to end on December. Both are scheduled to end on March 3rd, 2016. And like I said, they just so happen to end the day before the movie London Has Fallen is released. Is that a coincidence? It's not looking like it, folks. But I just wanted to update you all and keep you all updated with the world around you and let you know that this is no coincidence. This stuff is going on. Seek Yahuwah with all your heart and his true son, Yahusha, that all may be well with you. Because it's only going to get worse from here. But this is Truth Unveiled here. Shalom.